Today, we're diving into the world of single-player masterpieces, a list of excellent games that you absolutely must play. It doesn't matter if you're a PlayStation 5 owner or an Xbox Series X or S fan, these titles are ready to give you hundreds of hours of incredible emotions. A quick disclaimer, this isn't the complete list of industry giants. We'll be tackling blockbusters like Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption, and Uncharted in a separate video. Kingdom Come: Deliverance II. Since we touched on the topic of quality RPGs, it would be a true sin to overlook the hot new release, the second part of Kingdom Come: Deliverance. While you don't necessarily need to be familiar with the first, I still recommend checking it out. As in the original, there's a huge emphasis on realism, offering you the chance to live the life of an ordinary person during the Holy Roman Empire. The storyline continues the events of the first part, offering players an even deeper immersion into medieval Bohemia. The developers have paid special attention to historical authenticity. The graphics of the first part were once called photorealistic. In the second, they've gotten even better, and most importantly, with good optimization. Even on a hypothetical Xbox Series S, you can comfortably set high settings and enjoy smooth gameplay, which is a rarity these days. The game also features well-thought-out mechanics and a reputation system. Your actions and even your appearance affect how NPCs react. The combat system has been improved, becoming more fluid and realistic. Kingdom Come: Deliverance II sets a new standard in the historical RPG genre, offering a deep plot, a realistic world, and refined mechanics. If you're a fan of role-playing games with a focus on historical detail, it's a must-play. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is arguably From Software's most ambitious project and a new bar for quality set by the studio. It should be experienced by both fans of the Souls genre and those unfamiliar with it. Many think Elden Ring is just Dark Souls thrown into an open world. However, the unprecedented freedom and desire to explore this world are rarely found in other open-world games. Literally, every new dungeon, location, or boss is a new, complex, and exciting adventure. The game doesn't force you to follow a marker. Just go where you want and explore the world as you see fit. The boss battles are a separate thrill. Yes, many complain about the frustration, but there's a flip side. When you study the build, the weapon, and the enemy's attacks, every fight turns into an interesting challenge. That feeling of dopamine when you defeat a boss you've studied inside and out is something no other game can provide. I must also note the visuals and the artist's work. The architecture and the signature gloom inherent in From Software's games are perhaps unique. Sometimes you just want to stop and enjoy the view. I recommend approaching the game without unnecessary preconceptions about its difficulty. Marvel's Spider-Man 2! Now here's where the production and epic scale are taken to absolute perfection. The second installment of Spidey, which, fortunately, has also landed on PC, albeit with some initial technical hiccups that are still being ironed out. The plot continues the events of the first game, but now we have two protagonists, Peter Parker and Miles Morales. The story, to be honest, isn't groundbreakingly unique. New villains appear and must be stopped. The key moment is the introduction of the symbiote suit for Peter, which brings fundamental changes to both the narrative and the mechanics. The gameplay is pure joy. You can switch between the two Spider-Men, each with their unique abilities. Symbiote Peter is literally a melee combat powerhouse. I also have to highlight the web slinging. If it was good in the first game, here, with the addition of the web wings or wingsuit, soaring over New York has become absolutely breathtaking. The city itself has also been expanded to include new boroughs like Brooklyn and Queens. And the boss battles haven't just retained their spectacle. The opening fight with Sandman alone is incredible, but have also become more complex. This was a launch PS5 exclusive that truly showcases the console's power. Baldur's Gate 3! Without any irony, Baldur's Gate 3 is a true benchmark for turn-based RPGs and role-playing games in general. This project should be checked out by absolutely everyone, even if you're not usually into the genre. Trust me, if you dig into this game, you can lose yourself for 100 hours or more. I myself initially understood nothing and wanted to give up, but once I grasped the mechanics, it became impossible to stop. And it's all thanks to the magnificent replayability and variability. Many have called BG3 an anomaly. This level of freedom is extremely rare in the gaming industry. The plot centers on the main character and companions being infected with an illithid parasite that slowly turns them into monsters. However, this same parasite grants them incredible powers. You must decide whether to use them for good or succumb to the darkness. One reason for BG3's unreachable level is the completely non-linear story. Every decision you make affects the world, your companions, and the very fate of your character. You can become a hero, a villain, or someone in between, and NPCs will remember all your actions. You can create a hero to your liking, choosing race, class, and alignment. The game offers complete freedom of action. You can steal, persuade, intimidate, use magic, or even jump over obstacles to solve problems in different ways. There's simply no single correct solution. Baldur's Gate 3 is an exemplary RPG that not only continues the series, but elevates the genre to a new height. Hogwarts Legacy. For many, it's a family tradition to rewatch all the Harry Potter movies during the holidays. But you don't have to just watch, you can play too. I recommend checking out Hogwarts Legacy. It's literally the best thing out there right now for fans of the universe. The biggest plus for atmosphere and immersion is the high-quality fan dubbing that uses the same voices as the films. For Russian speakers, though, this point is less relevant for a general English audience. This is a game where you can lose yourself for dozens of hours, exploring the world far and wide. Hogwarts is realized in every detail. Walking through every corridor and room or flying over the entire grounds on a broom is a huge pleasure. The game's huge advantage is the stunning atmosphere from the films, which you dive into head first. You play as a wizard, you can learn new spells, engage in potion making, or just fly on a broomstick. Hogwarts Legacy is a game from fans for fans. It's recommended that you be familiar with the films to truly appreciate all the references and details. Demon's Souls. Why not add a genuinely well-made Souls-like to this list? I chose Demon's Souls, or rather, its remake. Many mistakenly consider the first Dark Souls to be the originator of the genre, but it actually all began with Demon's Souls. Bluepoint Games made the remake visually incredible while preserving the soul and difficulty of the original. The plot, in brief: the world is engulfed in a deep fog because demons decided to take over. Humanity's only hope is the nameless warrior, that's you, who must journey through the horrors of the kingdom, defeat the demons, and break the cycle of eternal curse. As with all From Software games, the story is delivered in fragments through item descriptions, NPC dialogues, and the environment. The player must piece together the details of this tragic history themselves. I have to praise the graphics and sound in this remake. While Elden Ring is considered one of the most beautiful Souls games, Demon's Souls can certainly compete, especially in terms of the art direction. The architecture and visual style are simply magnificent. This is a perfect example of how remakes should be done, carefully preserving the spirit of the original while making it modern, beautiful, and smooth. Highly recommended for all PS5 owners. Horizon Zero Dawn. For those looking for stunning visuals, a deep story, and enjoyable gameplay, I definitely recommend checking out the first installment of Horizon from Guerrilla Games, a former Sony exclusive. It's a captivating single-player adventure about the red-headed beauty Aloy. This is a game where the visuals and beauty of the open world can compete with virtually any modern title. Which is not surprising, considering that Guerrilla Studio previously gave us the Killzone series, which always graphically pushed the consoles to their limit. The plot premise is quite simple but intriguing. It's a post-apocalypse, but a very unusual one. The world is overrun by robot animals. You play as Aloy, an outcast because she has no mother. You must find out what is truth, what is fabrication, and unravel the mystery of this world. The open world itself is standard by modern metrics. It's enjoyable to explore, admire the views, and progress through the main story. It's not small, but it's not overly bloated either, which avoids the feeling of dissatisfaction. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's talk about a game many likely overlooked at the time, Guardians of the Galaxy from Eidos Montreal. Initially, the project was approached with caution, as the same studio had previously released the rather mediocre and commercially unsuccessful Avengers game. Expectations for the new project were low. However, the game turned out to be a seriously good narrative adventure about the Guardians and arguably one of the best titles featuring these heroes, period. The reasons are numerous. Excellent story campaign. It's linear but zips along, taking about 20 hours to complete. Characters. This is its heart. Each hero has a unique personality and humor. Watching Rocket constantly squabble with everyone while Groot says his iconic phrase is a pure pleasure. The game reminds you in every frame how important teamwork is. Soundtrack. It's simply magnificent here. 80s rock in all its glory. I genuinely feel bad for the game because the project was on par with titles like Rocksteady's Batman or Insomniac's Spider-Man, but didn't receive the attention it deserved. If you missed it, I highly recommend correcting that. Gears of War 4. Another project that will grab you for an evening or two and pleasantly surprise you with its visuals and masterful gameplay is Gears of War 4. The story is set 25 years after the previous installment. The war seems over, but as usually happens, everything goes awry. Now you must once again use your Lancer's chainsaw and obliterate new types of mutants. You play as a new generation of soldiers, including Marcus Fenix's son, who, by the way, drops in for a visit. The story is engaging, featuring family secrets and a few poignant moments, though it certainly doesn't lack for bombast and melodrama. However, Gears has always been about the gameplay. It's a magnificent third-person shooter with perfectly executed cover-based gunfights. You'll need to skillfully use cover, move quickly, and, of course, deploy the Lancer's chainsaw, the sound of which is pure auditory bliss for series fans. The 8 to 10 hour campaign flies by in one sitting, keeping boredom at bay by alternating between tunnel levels, fortress defenses, and boss fights. It's nice to note that despite its age, the graphics look more than respectable. Blood, explosions, and monster detailing are all top-notch. Optimization is excellent too. Recommended for all Xbox owners looking for a tough, brutal action game with a plot about protecting loved ones and eliminating enemies, but without philosophical pretension. Gears of War is about pure action, and it delivers 100%. Alan Wake 2. Let's kick things off with Alan Wake 2, a game I initially shelved, dismissing it as tedious and dull, but giving it a chance this year, I haven't regretted it once. The main thing to understand is that Alan Wake 2 is not an adrenaline-fueled shooter with hyper-dynamic gameplay. Yes, there are shootouts, but the primary focus is shifted to exploration, puzzle solving, and, most challenging of all, understanding the plot. The narrative thread is incredibly convoluted, and grasping it on the first playthrough is nearly impossible. Chances are, after the final credits, you'll find yourself, like I did, diving into detailed community deep dives. In a nutshell, the story revolves around two characters: Alan, a writer desperately trying to escape his self-made prison by rewriting reality through his manuscripts, and an FBI agent searching for answers in a mysterious small town where even the coffee seems part of a conspiracy. The two narratives run in parallel, and you're free to choose which character to play until all the threads converge. This title is the Twin Peaks of video games: a dark, dense forest, the Pacific Northwest setting, low-rise buildings, and a phenomenal soundtrack that will literally give you chills. In short, Alan Wake 2 is an elite, atmospheric thriller, not without its rough edges. Highly recommended if you value deep, thought-provoking stories and aren't afraid to plunge into absolute darkness. Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a legend that needs no introduction, and a game that essentially has only one major flaw: it remains a Sony console exclusive, at least officially. The plot is a gothic nightmare in the best traditions of Lovecraft. You are the hunter, stranded in Yharnam, a city gripped by a plague where residents are either sick or have already transformed into monsters. As is typical for From Software games, the story isn't spoon-fed. Every piece of information is hidden in item descriptions, NPC dialogues, and the visual language of the locations, which literally screams hopelessness. The deeper you dig, the more questions arise. Explaining the challenging gameplay, where you must memorize the attacks of common enemies and suffer at the hands of bosses, is pointless. That's a given. But for me, the separate thrill is the gothic atmosphere. No other game has managed to replicate the experience that From Software gave us almost 10 years ago. The campaign will take you 30, 40 hours, and even more with the Old Hunters DLC. But be ready, you will die. Often. It's not a bug, it's a feature. I really hope this masterpiece officially makes its way to other platforms someday, but for now, it's a must-have for PS5 owners via backward compatibility. Stray. It's not just AAA titles that can deliver truly unique emotions. Sometimes genuine masterpieces of atmosphere are found in the indie segment. I consider Stray to be one such gem. I played it in a single evening and was completely delighted. This is a game about an orange cat on a difficult journey through a beautiful cyberpunk city abandoned by humans. But it's not just a fuzzy explorer simulator. It's a full-fledged adventure with a touching story, puzzles, and an atmosphere that immediately draws you in. The story centers on a nameless cat who accidentally falls into a city inhabited by robots. His goal is to escape and find his way back to his family. He's helped by a small drone, B-12, who acts as a translator and assistant. Despite its indie status, the world is incredibly detailed. Neon streets, abandoned alleys, robots with human emotions, all creating a unique balance between loneliness and hope. The gameplay perfectly immerses you in the local setting. You're playing as a cat. That means you can mess things up, knock objects over, sharpen your claws on furniture, rub against robots' legs, and climb through pipes. Stray is more than just a game. It's a unique adventure that offers unusual sensations, makes you care for the furry protagonist, and allows you to explore a world full of mysteries. Dishonored 2! Another game that offers superb replayability and immense variability in terms of how you approach it is Dishonored 2. I replayed the levels in the first game multiple times for different endings and was incredibly satisfied, but I only got around to the second part this year. In short, the plot. Several years have passed since the finale and a coup occurs. One of the heroes is kidnapped. Who it is, Emily Caldwood or the first game's hero, Corvo Attano, is up to you to decide. The goal is simple. Take revenge and reclaim your position in the kingdom. But how you achieve this depends entirely on you. You're dropped into large and incredibly detailed locations with massive mission variability. You can complete the game without touching anyone, a non-lethal run, you can cause total chaos and slaughter everyone, or you can combine these approaches. There are simply countless ways to complete the same level. As a fan of stealth games since the Splinter Cell era, this approach really appeals to me. And the storyline turned out well too. If, like me, you value games with immense variability and freedom of choice, you simply can't miss the second installment. Call of Duty: Black Ops Cold War. Sometimes you don't want to sit around solving riddles. Sometimes you just want to lean back in your chair, grab a controller, and get pure, furious enjoyment from the gameplay and a straightforward story. That's where Call of Duty: Black Ops Cold War enters the stage. This latest blockbuster from Activision, much like a Hollywood action movie, will occupy you for 1 or 2 evenings and provide a ton of fun. The plot premise is simple. It's the 1980s Cold War. 2 superpowers are on the brink of conflict, and your CIA agent must prevent a global catastrophe. The gameplay delivers everything Call of Duty single-player campaigns are loved for: diverse hotspots, superbly staged gunfights, and tons of cinematic action. You're not just watching an expensive film, you're controlling it. The missions aren't all shooting, though. There are episodes requiring stealth or even a bit of intellectual effort. Ultimately, Cold War is like a good old action flick. The plot won't win an Oscar, but it's engaging and the action is always vibrant. I suggest it if you're feeling nostalgic for the Black Ops era or just want a straight shooter with a light dramatic touch. But don't expect the depth of The Last of Us. It's a popcorn shooter with excellent production value. Call of Duty WW2. Why not add one more cinematic single-player shooter? I chose Call of Duty WW2 2017, which I, to my shame, only played recently, though I could have checked it out much earlier. At the time, reviewers weren't overly complimentary, and like many, I missed it. Now I realize that personal experience is far more important, and this game had, and still has, an excellent single-player campaign. The plot is straightforward, covering events of World War II from 1944 to 1945. You play as a soldier who, along with his comrades, rescues occupied France, Belgium, and other countries. The cutscenes are a separate treat. Before each mission, you get a short but beautifully staged cinematic that seamlessly transitions into gameplay. The gunfights themselves are in the spirit of classic COD, dynamic and spectacular. Every mission is memorable. The episode with the chase and capture of the armored train is a perfect slice of visual spectacle. Many inevitably compare WW2 to the first World at War 2008. The difference is clear. The first focused on a dark, heavy atmosphere, while the second emphasizes Hollywood-style cinema and epicness. The game can be finished in a couple of evenings in one sitting. If you enjoy cinematically directed shooters with a classic story about brave soldiers saving the world wrapped in a modern package, good graphics, adapted controls, go for it!